Neptune 2. Para makita naman yung Neptune na.
Neptune 2, number 1 security, number 1.
I was extremely lucky when I arrived in Hong Kong in the year of 2006, in January actually. Yeah, extremely lucky, but I had no clue how eventually this experience, the 2 years in Hong Kong, would eventually unfold. So in this video I will share with you the story how I met my very first bar girl ever in Southeast Asia. And by the way, that bar girl was from the Philippines. Yeah, so this is the story of how it all started with me, with my dating in Asia experience, dating in Southeast Asia. Yeah, a new dating paradigm, so to speak, a paradigm, a different universe, you know. A different dimension, completely opposite to these experiences I had in Western countries. Yeah. But it also was actually for me a very dangerous one, and why that was dangerous I will talk about in this video. So this is the story of my ups and downs, you know, the world of the bar girls, the freelancers, the hookers, the prostitutes and the scammers. It all started in Hong Kong, and yeah, I did not meet my first bar girl in Thailand or the Philippines. No, it was in Hong Kong, and in hindsight it really feels now, you know, I have a bigger context now, of course. It really feels like I opened like a Pandora's box, you know, a new can of worms. This story is a bittersweet personal development story with serious financial consequences. I had problems with my job later because of this experience, problems with my health. I mentioned the financials already. I was in debt. Yeah, my entire life in Hong Kong within 2 years completely deteriorated, okay? Without going into all the details here, I just want to give you the context. And this path which I started in Hong Kong actually continued for several more years. I believe it was about 6 more years until 2014. Yeah, but bottom line and overall, I also had good experiences. You know, this entire experience shaped my view, and of course I had also positive experiences because I learned about different cultures. I met new girls from different countries, so I traveled to these countries. So of course it extended my horizon also. Okay, before I share now the story how I met my very first bar girl, which is actually a very funny story, kind of weird also. I also want to mention why I do this video here today. Because as far as I remember, I have not released a video where I exclusively talk about my bar girl experience. I've mentioned this in previous videos, yes, that I have experience, like in the past video, in my last video actually, when I was talking about Thai girls and stuff like that. But I thought, you know, because I do these dating videos, you know, and of course over the years of the past, over the course of the past almost 20 years dating in Southeast Asia, I have amassed a great experience, you know, and I'm happy, I'm grateful for that. Ups and downs, yeah. Disasters, you know, but and now I'm much smarter. That's why I feel confident also to do these videos. And I don't do these videos to like dwell in nostalgia or to celebrate myself or to cry about my past and I want it all coming back. No, it's not about that. I want to be useful to the newbies especially and to other people. I want to share my advice, what I learned, the good things, the bad things. You know my style of videos already. I want to be transparent, and especially with this video, okay? So I've done a lot of these dating videos, but today I want to go back to the early beginnings, and this video is for the guys, because most Western men who come to Southeast Asia either as a tourist or because they secured a job, they will run into these same, let's say, issues or problems or experiences. Yeah, they will, no matter what. I'm talking about the dating scene, the world of dating in Southeast Asia. Yeah, they will run into similar experiences. Yeah, so this video is for the sake of the illustration, especially for newbies. Yeah, to illustrate the dangers, because when you are a Western guy and you come to Southeast Asia, trust me, it's like you hit a gold mine. I'm pretty sure everybody loves gold. And I do love gold as well. That's a metaphor now, But when you are a gold lover and you suddenly hit a gold mine, then it also can get very dangerous because you can get addicted, And and it also hinges upon your temperament, of course, So this video is for the illustration of my experience, especially for the newcomers, for the newbies who have all their world maybe still ahead in Southeast Asia, but also for the veterans, like guys like me who've done it all, who've seen it all, who hopefully also grew and got smarter. And for you guys, this video is for the purpose of entertainment, right? And maybe a little bit of nostalgia, and also about lessons learned, because we all know there are still plenty of expats in these countries now who did not make it, who got stuck, stuck in their world of illusions. So now, after 7 minutes, I will now go ahead and share the story with you, how I met my first bar girl ever in this Filipina bar. So I arrived in January 2006, and and one evening, I think shortly after my arrival, about maybe 1 or 2 months after my arrival, after I settled in, I was strolling. I wanted to explore the nightlife. I had no clue about Hong Kong nightlife. I read something in the books, in a tourist guide. But so I started to stroll around basically my neighborhood. And I was close to the entertainment district, which is called Wan Chai. I was strolling around, checking out some places, and then I saw that big neon light sign hanging above the street, but in a very little narrow alley actually. And the sign read Sinta J, and it was all neon lights. So I thought, wow, that looks like entertainment here. Maybe it's a bar, maybe it's a club. I'm gonna check this place out. So I went inside, and it turned out it was just a simple restaurant. Sinta J, for those of you who lived in Hong Kong know what I'm talking about. Sinta J actually is used to be, I don't know today, but it used to be a very famous restaurant for Filipinos and Indonesians, because they serve Filipino food and I think also Indonesian food. Never mind, I went inside, sat down, ordered something to drink, and I was sitting there alone because I didn't know anybody. I just was sitting there by myself. But behind me there was an entrance to a famous club in Hong Kong. It was called Fenwick the Dog. And at the time I didn't know anything about any clubs in Hong Kong and Fenwick the Dog. But what I noticed was that actually opposite the restaurant I was sitting, I could see a lot of sexy, beautiful, young, Asian-looking ladies were going inside this club. Actually, the club on the other side had a main entrance. and that was the back entrance, the back door. And I constantly saw the stream of young, pretty sexy ladies. At the time I didn't know that they were all mostly Filipinas, you know, because I haven't dealt with Filipinas at the time. So I watched these ladies, you know, and then I don't know. And by the way, before I continue the story, you might have guessed already where I am right now. Yeah, you guessed it correctly. I'm here in KLCC Park, and here are the Twin Towers. So I was sitting there all by myself, and the bouncer of Sinta J must have observed me, and then he came to me and asked me, how am I doing? I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then he came straight to the point. He asked me if I would need a girl. And then I think we chatted for a while. I asked him, so what girls he has available, because I could figure that he is kind of someone who maybe works in this industry, you know. So he asked me if I'm interested to meet a girl, to have some fun. I said, yeah, why not, you know. And then I asked him, what kind of girls do you have? And then I think he said he has Thai girls, Filipinas and Indonesians and maybe some more. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna try a Filipina, you know. And he pulled out of his pocket, I've never seen this before and after, he pulled out a key ring like this size, a massive, looked like a key ring with some keys attached to it, but literally, from my estimation, hundreds of business cards also attached to this key ring. So they were all attached, like, it must have been hundreds of small business card sized little cards with names and telephone numbers written on it. And then he just sorted through his massive keyring, and he found the telephone number. He texted somebody or he called somebody, and within maybe 15 to 20 minutes a girl appeared. that was my arranged date, and that was her name was Hazel, I remember clearly, and she was from the Philippines. So long story short, we went to my apartment and she stayed overnight, and the rest is history. Yeah, so that was my first encounter with a bar girl in Hong Kong. So I did not actually pick up that girl in the sense of that I was going to an establishment, a bar or a club, or I don't know, or a pub. So, but the guy approached me, saw maybe I'm interested in meeting a girl because I was alone. So he went ahead and asked me straightforward, and he organized that girl for me. So what I didn't know at the time, eventually between me and this bouncer, his name was June and he was from Nepal, actually developed a good friendship, you know, because he was around this area, he was bouncing here, bouncing there, he was bouncing at different clubs, you know, and I always gave him a generous tip, you know, and he had me with some women and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, this is how it all started, and this is how I kind of went down the rabbit hole, you know, and yeah, but I, of course, didn't know anything about the dating dynamics, you know, the dating system in Hong Kong. I didn't even know what this girl Hazel was doing in Hong Kong, you know. Of course, later I learned that most of these Filipinos are there, these freelancers. They're entering Hong Kong on a 2 weeks visa, then they work as freelancers in these bars and restaurants, pubs, clubs, discos, and they are freelancing there, you know. They don't work for these discos or clubs. They are allowed entry because the owners of these establishments know that, you know, a lot of guys, especially foreigners who earn a lot of good money in Hong Kong, will enter these establishments and spend money on drinks. This is what they make their main revenue with, right? Drinks, selling more drinks, you know. Western guys like to drink, alcohol mostly. And when you have a lot of beautiful, sexy girls inside, you know, that's a dream of any single man, right? Most of the Western guys are single in Hong Kong at the time, 20 years ago. So guess what you do? You spend drinks on the girls also, but of course the girls' drinks are higher priced. So long story short, the girl earns a commission, you know. So it's good for the pub or the disco or the club because they make extra revenue revenues and sales on drinks, and you know, the girl is free to do whatever she wants later. If she wants to go with the guy home and earn some extra cash on the side with a different activity, it's completely up to her. You know, and yeah, I got like sucked into this whole entertainment thing in Hong Kong. This is how it all started. I got hooked. I really got addicted to it, also partly due to, or probably mostly due to my own inner psychology, the way I was wired at the time. Certainly it was an overwhelming experience, you know, like for many Westerners, you know, because you are not used to that kind of a supply of sexy, beautiful, pretty young women. This is sheer impossible in European countries. And then also how easy it was to get in touch with these girls. Actually, in the beginning, I didn't know how it works, so I thought they also have fun. I didn't know they were freelancers, you know. But also it was due to my own neediness, you know, my own, yeah. I needed a lot of validation at the time. I needed attention. My dating experience was not that great prior coming to Hong Kong, you know. So I was lacking a lot of experience also, and yeah, fear of missing out, I don't know, bad experiences. So, and suddenly I was thrown into this gold mine, you know, this Disneyland, you know, for men. And yeah, it became a drug for me, you know, as it became a drug probably for many other Western men, and not only in Hong Kong, but in the Philippines, in Thailand, and other places, you know. And you had guys like me who were single and really overdid it, basically. But you also had normal, regular guys there. I remember at one time I met one of the high management members of my company. I cannot tell the name here now, and I will also not name the position, because if I name the company to you and I will tell you only the position, then you can easily figure out who it was. But for the sake of protection, I will not do this. I will only tell you that I worked for the biggest company in Hong Kong at the time. And I remember one evening I was in one of these bars, and then suddenly I see that guy, and I thought to myself, man, that guy looks familiar. I said, what the heck? That's my boss, my big boss, you know, one of the big bosses. And to confirm, and actually our company was so big I didn't even know if he would recognize me. I was sure he would not, you know, because we only met maybe once or twice during my time. So anyway, I wanted to make sure, and I approached him and I asked him, so you're having a lot of fun here. We did some small talk. He was actually dancing with one of the Filipinas. That guy was married, by the way, or still is. So, and I asked him, so what's your name? And he didn't tell his real name, but he used an abbreviation. So I knew his abbreviation was referring to his real name. So it was the guy. It was one of my big bosses. But shortly after he left, maybe he recognized me and was scared that I was talking to somebody. But so also you have this kind of man, you know, who enjoy with these young ladies. And my boss was maybe in his 50s already at the time. So anyway, and yeah, so I was living in this illusion, you know, and I think I mentioned this already. One big mistake also I made was that I thought, because I had a lot of fun, you know, and I had the money, I had the funds to fund this kind of lifestyle. I also thought that the girls actually also have fun. They are there for fun, but that's not true, you know. They have a completely different reason and motivation why they are doing the job, you know, but that was just kind of my reasoning at the time. So you see, I was in a complete illusion about the reality of things, you know. I was in my own bubble, and it became eventually very dangerous, you know. Later, when these girls told me their stories, that most of them were single moms, and you know, I felt pity for them and also a little bit sorry, you know. Yeah. And sometimes even today I'm thinking of them, and I dated many, you know. I cannot remember all their names, but from a few I know that they are married today. One is married, she has 4 kids. The other one is married. The other one is in Japan. I don't know where she's in. She's in the States now, Filipina also. She's married, she has 2 kids, you know. So, but sometimes I think of other women and imagine what are they doing today, you know. It's just sometimes I think of that. And you know, I was 28 when I was arriving in Hong Kong, and these girls were mostly a little bit younger. Some were my age, you know, but most of the girls were like maybe 23, 24, 25, something like that, you know. So you can imagine today they're all in their mid-40s, you know. And I don't know how it is today, but also I think 20 years ago, the dating was, well, dating, you cannot really call it dating. I thought I was dating a lot of girls, but I was not dating. I was just hooking up with freelancers, you know. But I can remember during these times, I don't know how it is today because I don't do these activities anymore, but I'm still convinced today that this kind of, let's say, dating thing, you could still find good girls among these freelancers, you know. Because I dealt with a lot of them, I knew their stories, yeah, and maybe they didn't tell the truth and they made up these stories, but most of them, they had their backstory, you know, a single mom, and they're struggling for money, they needed income, so they came to Hong Kong. Most of these girls were no professional bar girls, there were no professional hookers, they were not, okay, eventually I also didn't know that, but from the way they talked and they behaved, I could assume, and I knew from other girls, they came to Hong Kong to make a quick buck. Back in the Philippines, they had no job, you know. Back in the Philippines, probably over 90% of these girls, they were not dancing in a girly bar. They were not hooking up professionally. So this is what I mean. These girls, these Filipinas, were actually, yeah, kind of good girls. They were just desperate to make some money, you know. So, and I think that has changed today. So if you come to Hong Kong today, I think you will find a great deal of way more professional girls, you know, who are just after money and material things, you know, tattooed all over of their bodies, and tattooed here and the breast, and you know, the girls 20 years ago, the Filipinos, I remember, they had no tattoos whatsoever, you know. But this is also a fashion thing now these days. So imagine, that was almost 20 years ago, 2006, 2007. So imagine 20 years before that, in 1986 and 1987, how the dating of Filipinas again would have been probably totally different. I'm interested in that. So if you're one of these guys who are watching, who know how it was to date a Filipina in the 80s, I would be interested to learn. And I'm also interested to learn about the differences. Can somebody tell me what is the difference between dating Filipinas in the 80s or 90s and dating them now? I think, from my estimation, how it was 20 years ago, things deteriorated somehow. I can be wrong, or maybe just in certain establishments, bars and stuff like that, it has deteriorated. I don't know, but I'm interested to learn about this, you know. So, without going into all these negative stories and what happened to me in Hong Kong, I will conclude this video. If you want me to talk about some of my bad experiences I've mentioned in the beginning, like my financial struggle, my debt which I developed, my troubles at work, and my health problems. If you want me to talk about this, I can do this in a separate video, because that also takes some time to talk about this, just for you to illustrate what really was going on with me, because I arrived in Hong Kong as a healthy, young, motivated single man, but this whole entertainment, nightlife experience in Hong Kong completely changed me, changed my attitude, and I was fucked up. Long story short, after like 6 months into Hong Kong, I started to mess up, and after 2 years I was fucked up completely, leading to an incident at work where I actually received a final warning from my employer because I did many stupid things. So I will not go into details now here. If you want me to do a video, then I'll let you know, to illustrate to you what can happen. But again, I want to mention, everybody is different. You have a different temperament than I do have at the time or now. Now it's 20 years later, you know, people change, people grow, hopefully. People develop, you know. So everybody has a different personality and temperament. But for me, you know, the experience in Hong Kong actually exposed a lot of weakness inside myself. That's why I called it a bittersweet personal development experience. That is what it actually was, you know, very painful, because all the pain I actually inflicted upon myself, but I was not smart enough. I didn't know how to do better at the time. So I guess that's part of the journey, right? You do things, you make mistakes, you experience bad things, you make a lot of bad decisions, a lot of bad decision making involved, you know. And then you mess it up, and then you burn your fingers, and then you will regret it, you know. You lose everything, then you have to start new. Now in hindsight, you know, again, I am happy about these experiences. Bottom line, it grew me, I learned. Maybe it was a detour, maybe it was not, but it was just the entire package, my personality, my temperament and everything. So what's the moral of the story? There is no moral, you know. This is just how it was at the time. And is there any advice I can give you? Yeah, just be prepared, you know, and I hope this video helps you a little bit if you are planning to move to Southeast Asia or to have a great time in Southeast Asia. Do not underestimate the dynamics and what can happen to you once you are there, even as a tourist. And many guys get hooked, and there are many guys still today in their 50s, in their 60s. They are a mess. They lost everything, and they cannot even today pick themselves up again. They're stuck in these drinking holes. They're still womanizer. They're still after bar girls. They're spending time with these girls. There are too many guys who did not manage to get out and to develop out of this. My advice is, yeah, do your own experience. Know your weaknesses also. If that would be great if you knew some of your weaknesses, right? And yeah, and with that being said, was it worth it overall? Job-wise, definitely yes, because it grew my career tremendously, you know, but also in the private life. I gained a lot, I learned a lot. So bottom line, yes, it was worth it. Talking about worth in terms of life experience, but when I talk in terms of price, what was the price, the dollar amount to gain that worth of life experience? You don't want to know, you know. So it was very costly, it was very pricey, but yeah, it was worth it, I guess. And this is how I met my very first bar girl in my life. It happened in Hong Kong, and she was a Filipina. So with that being said, I'm checking out for today, looking forward to your comments, and looking forward to your stories. What happened to you, either in Hong Kong or in the Philippines or in Thailand? How did you start? How did it start for you? How did you meet your first bar girl? Did you pick her up? Was she delivered to you on a silver tray like it happened to me? Or did you stumble into this dating paradigm in a completely different way and manner? Let's share some experiences. I'm also asking the veterans here to share. You know, we all have something to share, crazy stories, you know, funny stories. But I think at the end of the day, important is that hopefully we have learned something from this, because dating in Asia can get very dangerous for you if you cannot handle your psychology properly, if you do not have your act together. Then it can get very, very dangerous, as we still see today happening to so many guys. And I hope with this video I could help a little bit to prevent this. So thanks for watching here. I'm checking out from beautiful KLCC Park in Kuala Lumpur. Take care, bye bye, and I'm gonna see you in one of my next videos.